The Metro on WDET, Detroit Public Radio. I'm Tia Graham. The Ann Arbor Art Fair makes its return this week. From July 16th through July 18th, 30 blocks of downtown Ann Arbor will be filled with color and people. The event consists of 3 independent, juried, nonprofit art fairs held simultaneously. The Ann Arbor Street Art Fair, the original, the Ann Arbor Summer Art Fair, and the Ann Arbor State Street District Art Fair. Together, they bring nearly 1,000 juried artists from across Michigan and the country to Ann Arbor for 3 days. According to organizers, it's expected there will be nearly 500,000 visitors. The fair also puts a spotlight on young artists, with a youth art fair for grades 4 through 12 and a kids collector club, introducing kids to art collecting. My guests are Karen Bauer, the executive director of Ann Arbor Summer Art Fair, and Detroit marbling artist Tisha Lieber of Spontaneity Works. Karen, Tisha, welcome to the Metro.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course. So, Karen, we're going to begin with you. For folks who've never navigated it, how do you all put 3 fairs into one, and how do you make them fit so well together?
Lots of years of practice, let's put it that way. These fairs have been working together since the early 60s, and we are a well-oiled machine at this point. We cover 30 city blocks. The directors meet on a regular basis, weekly, as we get closer to the fair. We've been meeting weekly, and we have great partners with the city who, help us, pull it all together. All departments from, solid waste to police and fire. And so it takes a village, honestly, to pull this all together.
I would say, Karen, 30 blocks of Ann Arbor. I mean, it takes more than just a few folks.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so I'm looking now, and there are kickoff events that lead up to the actual fair itself. Can you talk us through some of those kickoff events?
I can. So Tuesday night, tomorrow evening, we have 3 events that, similar to the fair, all roll into one. We start with the Paint the Town block party. That takes place on Main Street and Liberty. There will be all kinds of fun activities there. David Zinn, the chalk artist, will be there drawing with the kids. We have Ain't Dead Yet performing. There will be restaurants out in the street. Fun groups like the Hands-On Museum will be out, Creative Washtenaw, doing all kinds of fun activities. There will also be plein air painting happening in the streets, and we do awards for those. That will connect to what's called the City Party. In that block, you will find police cruisers out that people can visit. There will be a spray park. The fire department is hosting a spray park, and then Public Works will have their Touch a Truck event. So they'll have some cool trucks out for everyone to check out, as well as the Office of Sustainability. And then that all bumps into where the Dart for Art run ends. So at 5th and Division, the Dart for Art race it's a mile-long race that takes place to benefit the original art fair.
Karen, that is a lot leading up to the Ann Arbor Art Fair itself, which is going to bring in about 500,000 people. But what I do love, you're talking about just the community coming together and coming out. It's going to be a really hot week this week, so having the fire department out with some water will be really, really, really needed this week. But Karen, as we move forward, can you tell us a little bit about the Youth Art Fair? How does a kid in grades through 4 through 12 get a booth?
So they have been through a jury process.
Wow.
They did call for art already, and kids could come and submit their work, and they get to kind of go through a jury process similar to what artists go through. Not as rigorous, obviously, but it's a great education for them to see what it's like to be a part of the art fair. They get to sell their work on site and keep all of the proceeds that they make at the fair. So it's a great way to introduce them to the life of doing art for a living.
Yeah, and the same thing, the Kids Collectors Club, it's newer, but what's the idea behind letting kids buy real donated artwork for just $10?
So and this was something, my kids have grown up around the fair. I've been involved for over 20 years. And so my
Yeah.
kids would come every year and I would give them a little budget and say, you can pick out some art. And now they're grown men and they both appreciate and want to purchase art. So we thought it would be really fun to do an experience for kids to come in and pick out their own art. Everything is donated by art fair artists and it's sold for $10. Last year was the first year we did it and we sold out. So it was a really great experiment and one we're going to continue. The highlight, I think, of it was at the end, the kids could write thank you notes to the artists that they
Oh.
purchased the work from. And so we got to deliver those to the artists at the end of each day. And so they were so proud and got to hang them in their booths. And so lots of fun different things that kids were interested in. Of course, Taylor Swift pieces went first and foremost, and but it's really interesting to see what interests them and hearing their thoughts behind what they're attracted to as they're walking through the tent. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Tisha, bringing you into the conversation. Now, you're a repeat artist with the Ann Arbor Art Fair, and you've been marbling for 30 years now. If you could, take us back to what drew you to marbling.
Oh, wow. Well, I've always loved art. And I honestly, the story is pretty easy. I was in Borders bookstore back when we had that in Ann Arbor, and there was a book on marbling, and I bought it because I thought this is really amazing to me. And it's an old art, many cultures have their own form of it. There's Italian marbling, Turkish marbling, which is what I follow. And it's called Ebru, and I followed their directions and was addicted immediately. It's quite a skill to learn how to do all the different patterns. You most commonly see marbled paper in old books, like the inside covers. And so I just taught myself through experimentation and practice how to do how to do each type of pattern, how colors. Taught myself color theory. Now I don't have a favorite color anymore because I love them all. So yeah.
And walk us through the process for folks who don't know what we're talking about when we talk about marbling, especially marbling on paper or some type of canvas. Can you talk us through that just briefly?
Sure. So I make a bath out of carrageenan, which is like what they call Irish moss. It's a dried seaweed, and I reconstitute it with distilled water. The bath has to sit. It's only about 1.5 to 2 inches deep, and it has to sit overnight, 12 to 24 hours, and it thickens and the bubbles escape. And then that medium, I can thin acrylic paints. I use acrylic paints. I thin the acrylic paints also with distilled water to allow them to spread. It's all about surface tension. So there's a little bit of physics involved here. And then because they're floating, I can manipulate the paints with different tools. I pre-treat my paper or my fabric or whatever piece I'm marbling with alum, which it acts as a mordant. It chemically bonds the paper to the paint that's floating. So it turns out to be a monoprint. It's a one shot. You got to lay it on the bath perfectly or you get bubbles. And then I do a lot of over marbling. So I'll repeat the process again, dry the paper, re-alum, and do a new pattern so I get depth.
And looking at some of your works as well, it's just hearing you say you have to practice those techniques in order to get the certain shapes or patterns that come out when you are marbling. It's amazing to see the different shapes that you all can create, especially your work that you can create with dipping it in the solute. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's really quite fascinating. I always, sometimes I sit in front of the bath like, what am I going to do that's new now? And then something happens and like, there it is. It's a new pattern, right? You think, what combination of colors can I try this time? What order can I go in? How can I manipulate them to create, like, I have usually an image, either I'm trying to create a tree or a landscape or potentially a flower, or maybe it's just something that is more abstract depending on how I layer it, if I'm going to do a one shot deal. But then I'm also somewhat constrained because, like I said, physics is involved. So barometer, air pressure, temperature, humidity will all affect how the bath reacts with certain types of the colors of paint. Some will just sink right away, and then others will spread too much. So each day you got to see where you're at with your paints. Yeah, so it's really a very rewarding experience.
Tisha, I mean, hearing you speak about that or talk about that, I just hear the science of art, of the work that you're doing, the science of marbling, that it just is amazing. And marbling hasn't changed much in centuries. You're using the Turkish model. It's a human hand using paint and water to create unique patterns. It's something that we've been doing for centuries.
Yeah.
And an age of AI generated art. Does that feel like a strength to you, not a limitation? Does it feel technology proof, marbling?
Well, technology proof. I mean, they're two different mediums. So I think the physical act of doing art is really great for your brain.
Yeah.
And it's also great for the viewer who walks in and says, oh my gosh, what can I see in this piece? Because certain pieces will draw different people. And I think I teach composition at Wayne State University, so I deal with AI all the time.
All the time.
And I think AI is a tool. And I'm not discounting it, but I'm not necessarily saying, yes, let's do it. I think there's ethical ways to have AI. I don't think a lot of the companies are doing that right now. But it's just a tool. It's another form of human expression, just like computers were, word processing was. All of that kind of made everybody freak out a little bit about losing the human touch. But we always have to keep the human in the loop. And I think that's how I would deal with AI. But from an AI perspective, I don't know how AI could really produce what I do, because what I do is really fine lines and details that I don't think you would get in a computer program. So,
And Karen, I want to ask you about AI art. Have you seen any new trends in the art that creators bring to the fair now that AI is making its way into artists' processes?
So, AI is not something that the art fairs have embraced yet in a way that would allow artists to show work done with AI. We still require everything to be original to the artist, handmade. We have not figured out what our thresholds are going to be yet, as far as AI is concerned. So, as we learn more about it, I think we will probably have to find a way to embrace it in some way. As Tisha said, it's growing and changing. And so we just have to figure out our way around it. I think, as she said too, with when computers came in and digital art and things like that, it was new at first, and it was something that people were resistant to. But now it is a medium that we embrace, digital art, and it's very creative and it's great. We just, like I said, we don't know enough about AI yet to figure out what that's going to look like from an art fair perspective, and how that can be added in.
Tisha, bringing you back into the conversation, you also mentor young people. What's connecting with kids nowadays when it comes to teaching art? What ways have you changed or adapted your teaching styles?
well, I'm in the English program. I just got my master's in English technical and
Congratulations.
professional writing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And was accepted into the PhD program for composition and rhetoric. So, teaching kids, students how to write is a multilinear process of also teaching them how to read and how to think. And AI is just a tool. It's the same as any word processing tool. It's a tool that we as instructors have to figure out a way how to creatively teach and scaffold assignments to get students to be okay with their voice, right? Be okay with being wrong. Be okay with revision. I mean, a lot of times when I do art, I might not like the piece as I originally did it, completed it. So I'll revise. Same with writing. Revision is all part of that creative process. We're such a plug and play, one and done society that I think we have to get away from that. Like, that's where the beauty of writing, any writer will tell you they write a lot. and most of what they keep is a small fraction of what they actually create, right?
Yes. You are speaking to the proper audience right now, because I definitely understand that writing a bunch of stuff and maybe 3 sentences makes it to the air, honestly. So, Tisha, thank you so much. And as we get back around here to the Ann Arbor Art Fair, as we get down to the end of our conversation, Tisha, what do people at art fairs tend to gravitate towards, especially when we talk about your work? And what are you most looking forward to this year?
Well, my favorite thing with any art show is just watching people walk in my booth and be speechless for a moment, turn around and look at all the colors and just go, this just makes me happy. Yeah. I love that. I love talking to people about what they see in a piece. Like I did the Flint Art Show a few weeks ago, and a woman came in and said, I see a bird and I see like all wildlife. It was kind of an abstract piece. And it was just fascinating because oftentimes people really gravitate to one piece or another. Or I do a series of trees and they'll see the tree. I don't even have to say anything. They're like, there's a tree, but it's just really fun to see how they react to art in any form, even other artists. That's one of my favorite things, because that's a way we can communicate with each other, and we can show how we might be different, we might look different, we might sound different, but we all have this connection to expression, right?
Karen, as people are making their plans for this weekend, what's one thing you'd want a first-time visitor to make sure they do not miss out on?
I'm always going to come back to the art. It's we have 1,000 amazing artists that are going to be at this event, and to try and single out any of them would be really difficult. They all go through a very rigorous jury process to be involved. So anyone coming is going to experience some of the finest artists throughout the country. We get, for that 1,000 artists, we get multiple applications for each spot. So as I said, it's very competitive to be a part of, and you're going to see some world-class art. I highly recommend, if it's your first time, checking out our website, making sure you have a plan of action in place. And of course, this year we're already noticing it's probably going to be a little warm. So we're really recommending people, plan out their day, proper shoes, bring water. Of course you can get water on site, but take lots of breaks throughout the day. There's, air-conditioned restaurants and shops all throughout downtown Ann Arbor that you can stop in, and, air-conditioned shuttles if you want to take the shuttle in. So visit the website, make a plan of attack if it's your first time coming down, and I think that would serve you well.
Karen Bauer is the executive director of the Ann Arbor Summer Art Fair. Tisha Lieber is a Detroit marbling artist and owner of Spontaneity Works. The Ann Arbor Art Fair is this week, July 16th through July 18th. Karen, Tisha, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro today.
Thanks for having
me.
Thank you.
Coming up, could America be falling in love with gay romance? My conversation with a literature scholar about where queer stories show up in the classics is coming up next on The Metro.